Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a mid-year recap. So I'm not going to do the whole book tag. I'm going to go through a few stats, and then I'm going to do what Mel Lenore Reads did, where she did the best and the worst book from each month that I have read. And I think that'll give a better insight of what I'm reading and what I'm enjoying, rather than doing the entire mid-year book tag. So let's just start into it. So for stats, I have read 15,394 pages this year so far in the last 6 months, and that has accumulated to 41 books. Out of those 41 books, I've had 10 5-star reads, so a fourth of my reads have been 5 stars, and that means my average rating is a 4.1, which honestly, I was shocked. I was like, wow, I guess I'm reading more books that I really enjoy this year. And then going back and looking at my reads, definitely the case. I'm reading a lot more of series that I've enjoyed in the past, a lot more from authors that I've enjoyed from the past, and I really do think that affects the rating overall. So now to jump into my best and the worst of 2025 so far. I have a tie for the best books of the month for January and February, just because I don't want to have to pick between these books, and I can't. They're all 5-star books, and they all deserve to be discussed. So first of all, I gave Lights Out by Nevessa Allen 5 stars in January. It was one of my best books of January. I loved this book. I thought it was hilarious. I read it twice in January, if that indicates anything. And it got a 5-star. And then the audiobook got a 5-star because they were two very different experiences, but I loved both of them the same. So Lights Out by Nevessa Allen is my first best book of January. My next best book of January is Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. I started reading Throne of Glass in January. I read the first 3 books, and I loved all of them. I thought they were all great, but Heir of Fire was definitely my number one of the month. I read the first 3 books in like 4 days at work. The fact that I did not get sick of this book in that span just says something about this and the writing and the story, and I just loved it so much. I'm so glad that I finally started this series, and I can't wait to continue. So my worst book of January, I read A Duet by Santana Knox. I had never read anything by her before, and I would definitely be willing to give her a different try. I think it was just the concept of these books that wasn't really working for me. So I read No Way Out and No Way Back, and No Way Out was probably my least favorite book of January. It wasn't my favorite. I think I gave it like a little bit over a 3-star. It wasn't, and I thought the romance was really sketchy and weird. And then the second book just continued on with it being a little weird, and I just wasn't digging it. They were super short, which is why I didn't DNF. I just wanted to read through them and see what they were about. I think both of them were like 100 pages or 150 pages each. So it was a really quick read. So I just continued. I read through them, and I had a fine time while I was reading them, but they're not memorable, and the characters weren't really built up because it was super short. I would be intrigued to read another book by Santana Knox though, and see if I enjoy that. I think Heartless Heathens is probably one that I would try. I'm not sure how much I'll love it, but I would be willing to give it a try. And then in February, I continued with the Throne of Glass books, and one of my favorite books of the month was Queen of Shadows. I love where Selena has gone. I just really am enjoying this story and the plot line and the romance. It's just so good to me. I've been having such a blast, and this was no different. I listened to this book at work in February, and immediately I want to go back and reread the first 5 books just so I can continue in that realm of this story. I then started the tandem read, but I worked myself up and got a little nervous, and I haven't continued. I'm about 300 pages into both of the books, and I'm just too scared to continue. So this was the best book of February, and then I haven't finished the next 2 in the series. But I'll get there. I promise. I will get there. I will finish that series this year, especially since we just got news about the next ACOTAR book. She did say that the first drafts are finished for it, and I'm very excited for that to come out. So I feel like I need to finish Throne of Glass and then read Crescent City, so I'm prepared to do my reread of ACOTAR by the end of the year. This is my official prediction. I'm saying the book is going to come out sometime in February or March of 2026, and I could not be more excited. So I think I have until about then to read like 4,000 pages of Sarah J. Maas books before I finish my reread of ACOTAR. Because I've reread the first 2.5 books. I just have to get into the third book again and then continue on. My other favorite book of February was Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I was so scared to go into this. I mean, this cover does not do this justice. I wish I had the other cover, like the alternate cover with the butterfly on the front. I think that was so pretty. But I was so nervous to go into this because I'd heard really good things, but I was scared. I did not know if I was going to like it. It sounded intriguing. I thought it was a cool concept. And then I went into this book kind of blind. I didn't do that much research on it. I did not look at the plot that in depth, but I did know that it was intriguing. And then I saw videos on Instagram about it. I'm like, I need to read that before I get spoiled. So I also did the audiobook for this. The audiobook narrators are so good. I love them. And I listened to it, over 2 days at work. So that was a very good experience. My worst books of February. I feel really bad saying this. And it's not like it's a bad book. I had a decent time with it, but I don't think I liked the plot line and the storyline, or really even the romance enough to continue with the series. And that book is Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. I went into it open mind. I wasn't sure if I liked the premise at all, like even just reading the plot and the summary. So I went into it with an open mind. I enjoyed it enough. I did get through the whole book, but I don't think I want to move on to the second book. Just like thinking about like moving on gives me a little bit of anxiety, like reading anxiety. Like I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know if I really want to go into it already nervous about it. So I think I'm just going to leave it at the first book and call it a day. I am going to try the other series. I'm going to try the Crowns of Nyaxia series instead. I think that one will work better for me, especially because it's duets. I don't think I would want to read a full 4-book series about this one couple. I just don't think it's going to be for me to continue on with the series, so I am cutting it off there. Then into March. I only read 2 books in March, and I really liked both of them, so I don't have a worst books of March, but I do have a best, and the best was Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. The other one was The Sunlit Man, and I just cannot say that that was the worst book of the month because I loved that book. This one was just a little bit better, so it won out for best book of the month. I love Brandon Sanderson's writing, and this was his first like romance that he wrote for his wife. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I think he has a knack for writing female main characters. Normally I'm a little skeptical when a man writes a female main character. I get a little nervous that it's gonna be weird, just not great. Brandon Sanderson, I never worry. I think all of his female main characters are so well written. I think he really has the perspective of a woman in this type of situation so down pat, and I think that's amazing. I love his main characters, male and female, but the females just feel so fleshed out, and I just love it. I think the voice always comes through, and overall, I think this is probably my second favorite Brandon Sanderson book so far. I haven't read any of like Mistborn or anything. I've started those books, I just haven't gotten to finishing them, but this one is probably second, and Tress of the Emerald Sea is probably first. So then into April. I read more in April. March was just kind of a sad month where I didn't read a whole lot. I was busy with school. I didn't really get into anything. So I read my 2 Brandon Sanderson books and then just kind of took it easy for the rest of the month, let my brain rest. And then I jumped into April and I read about 5 or 6 books in April, which was pretty good since I was in a slump and just starting to get back into it. I started my few months of readathons in April. I did 3 readathons in a row, which I think really helped with my reading and getting back into the swing of things. And my favorite book of April was The Wedding People by Alison Espach, and I loved this book. It is such a sad, kind of dark premise, but it is one of the funniest books I've read. I think it just kind of embodies what you would want other people to do for you. I just think it goes really in depth in human connection and trying to learn who you are and what you want in your own life. And I think it was wonderful. I never would have expected to annotate this book. I went into it just kind of hoping to enjoy it because I'd heard a lot of good things about it. So I went into it with very low expectations and I loved it. I thought this book was amazing. The quotes that I have underlined and highlighted and marked up in my book, I think I go back to these quotes still. It's 3 months later and I still go back to read these quotes because I just loved this book so much. Stark contrast to Wedding People, I read a book called Water Water by Billy Collins. That was the worst book of the month. I think it is probably close to the worst book of the year, minus my DNF. But it was just a poetry book, and the poetry was fine. I didn't really get anything out of it. I didn't really enjoy it. I read some young Pueblo also this year, and his poetry is amazing. I think that poetry is some of the best poetry I've read. Water Water was just not it for me, and I think I just wanted something short at the time and picked it up and I expected to get a little bit more out of it than I did. So that one's just not working for me. Moving into May, I did a 24-hour readathon in May. I read so many books in May, and I had a great reading month. May was Escape the Readathon, and I was so into it. I wanted my team to win so bad, and it was a really, really good time for me. So I was finishing up school, but I still made time to read because I got done with school like the first week of May, and then I had the rest of the month to do anything I wanted. So I read a lot in May. My favorite book of May was actually the first book I read. That was Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. I never expected to like this book as much as I did. I went into it very nervous. I had heard good things about Alice Feeney's writing, but I was nervous that I wasn't gonna like it, and I was nervous that I wasn't gonna like a thriller as much as somebody else would. But I went into it with an open mind. I buddy read it with my friend. And again, I have little sticky notes. I've highlighted things, and the twist literally left my jaw on the floor. I thought this book was so intriguing, so good. It kept my attention the entire time. I read it in like 5 hours, like straight through, read the entire book. So fun. And I really found an author that I want to continue with and want to read more from. And I'm very excited about that because I needed a thriller author that I could do that with. The book that I liked the least, I gave like a 3-star. It was not my favorite. It was a nonfiction book, and I expected it to be about sea animals, and it really wasn't about sea animals, so I got a little bit disappointed about that. The story and the message were pretty good, but overall, it was not my favorite book ever. It was How Far the Light Reaches by Sabrina Imbler, and I just think I was not the proper audience for this book. I did like the sea animal facts. I really liked the sea animal facts. But the other aspects of the book, I just don't think I was the right audience. I do appreciate what she had to say. I do appreciate her telling her own story. I just didn't enjoy it as much as other people probably will. So don't just take my word for this. Definitely make your own opinion on this book if you are intrigued by a sea animal / discovering yourself type of memoir story. You probably would like that if that's your type of thing. I'm just not a big memoir person. I'm not a big telling my own story of how I became who I am. So I was expecting sea animals. I was not expecting the other stuff. So that was my least favorite book of May. And then going into June, I participated in the amazing readathon in June. I stayed super motivated until like the last week and a half of June. I read 8 books in June, and I don't think I read anything after like the 16th. So I did get a lot of reading done very quickly, and then I just kind of lost my steam and didn't want to read anymore. And I'm still kind of fighting that slump, which is really annoying. My favorite book of June was Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinneman. I will scream this from the rooftops. If you have not read this book is so much fun. It is so good. I love this book. If you like video games and like the level grind and like getting to know your character and making your character better. This is so good. It's a lit RPG, so it is a literary science fiction type book, and it's a role-playing game. So like Carl and Princess Donut are in this dungeon, and they have to survive and become the best version of themselves they possibly can be so they can survive this dungeon and win their freedom. And it is just so good, and I have all of the plans to continue the next books. There's going to be 8 books in this series. I think 7 is already out. 8 comes out in November. There might be more coming out after that. I'm not 100% sure. But I will be owning and reading every single one. The worst book of June, and my only DNF of the year, was Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. This book just wasn't what I wanted. I went into it expecting it to be like the goriest, most shocking book I've ever read, because that's what I've heard from all of my friends and coworkers that have read this book. They're like, oh, it's so gross. Like, it's gonna be like jaw-dropping, like crazy concepts and crazy like gore and violence and stuff. And that's what I thought. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I prepared myself. And it was very underwhelming, and it was very repetitive and, quite honestly, pretty boring to me. So I think that's on me not going into it with the right mindset rather than the book itself. I know a lot of people love this book and go into this book and just enjoy so much of Cormac McCarthy in general. So I think it was really just me. But I did DNF it. I'm not going to go back to it. I will be trying other Cormac McCarthy books, just not that one. Next, I am going to go through and discuss some of the books that I have acquired this year. I have gotten quite a few books. I think I'm up to like 40 books this year, which isn't great, but I'm also unhauling like 30-something books, so it kind of evens out on my TBR. Out of these books, most of them are from the book outlet sale that happened like last month. And then I got a few on Prime Day and a couple on my vacation. And then I have my book of the month for July on here. So I'm going to go through those real quick because they also play into the rest of my year reading. These are probably the books that I am going to be reading throughout the rest of the year and into next year, because these are the books that I'm excited about right now, and I'm going to feed off of that excitement since I am in a slump, and I am going to continue to read books that I want to read. First off, I got Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall, and I got this off of a recommendation from my husband's boss. I'm very excited to read this book. I've been enjoying a lot of the Reese's Book Club books. I know that it is a marriage kept with secrets, and that something happens and these secrets start to come to the surface, and it's a thriller. So I'm excited to see what happens. Either I'm going to read it right now because I'm kind of in a thriller mood, or I'm going to wait until the fall. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to go through the books that I got for the book outlet $5.99 sale. First, I got Immortal Dark, and I'm pretty sure this is a vampire story. Yeah, it says a lost heiress, a soulless vampire, and a secret drenched in blood. Very excited to read this. I've heard really good things about it from other booktubers, and I've had it on my list for quite a while, and when I saw that it was one of the books on sale, I was like, I should probably just get it. So I did. I'm excited. I think I'm gonna wait till probably wait till closer to Halloween time and in the fall to read this, but I'm very excited because it gives very good dark academia vibes, as well as there are vampires, and who doesn't like a good vampire? Next, I got Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco. I've been trying to convince myself to read the prequel series to this. I quite honestly don't know if I'm gonna like the Wicked series. I don't know if I'm gonna like Kingdom of the Wicked and those books, because they are YA. This is an adult novel, and I think I'm gonna like this one more. I just know that it is like a dark fantasy romance, again, about a girl and one of the princes of hell, and I'm very excited to try it out. I just think it sounds really intriguing. Also, the purple pages are so pretty. Next, I got a book called Wayward by Chuck Wendig. This book has a story. I saw this book at my library, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds so interesting. I should read that. Realized it was the second book in a series, and then went on Book Outlet to look for this first book. Saw this one thinking it was the first book and bought it. So now I'm still in the same boat if I haven't read the first book. So I don't really know what it's about. I think it's like a post-apocalyptic thriller type thing. So I'm really intrigued. and I want to read it. I just have to get the first book first, so I will hopefully be doing that. Then I got Bloodguard by C.C. Robeson, and this book sounds really cool. I 100% thought it was about vampires because Bloodguard, and I think I just made that up in my mind because it looks like it's more about Spartans and fighting for a royal title than it is about that, and apparently he's fighting for his freedom. But this is the really pretty sprayed edge edition, and I love this book. It looks so intriguing and so pretty, and I am going to probably read this one closer to fall or winter, not in summer. It just does not feel like a summer book to me. And then I got Crime and Punishment. I've been wanting to read Crime and Punishment and get more into classics. This one I've heard is really good, so I am going to attempt this one. I love the little, it's like a fake leather hardcover, but it's kind of bendy, and I'm excited to read this. I've heard good things. I'm nervous though. I'm not a huge classics person, and I'm afraid this is going to go over my head and confuse me. But it's okay. I'm going to try it and hopefully enjoy it. Then I got The Pomegranate Gate by Ariel Kaplan, and I think this one just sounded cool. It's got Jewish folklore, and it's Spanish Inquisition era, and it's a fantasy book. So those three things just are very intriguing, and I think I'm going to enjoy this just because, first of all, this book is gorgeous, and I've been wanting to read it for a very long time. The first time I saw it, I'm like, I should get that and read it, and I never did. But it's got like kings and queens and different magical powers that need to be kept secret, and those books usually do well for me. So I think it'll be a good time, and that's really all I'm looking for, is a good time. Then I got Pucking Around by Emily Rath. This was a curveball for me, but I've read the novella that comes before this, and I actually enjoyed it. I read it on a plane coming home from Chicago, and I was like, oh, this book is kind of fun. And then this book I've been looking at this series, and I'm like, I could probably enjoy it. It's like a hockey, smutty romance, and honestly, I'm willing to try it again. I've tried other sports romances and haven't liked them, but this one seems like it would be something that I would enjoy. So I'm going to try it, and maybe I'll get into the series more. Next, I filled out my Stephen King shelf a little bit more. I got Pet Sematary, Christine, Cujo, and The Body. I also picked up The Gunslinger because I didn't have a copy of that, and that was the only book in the Dark Tower series I was missing. So I did pick up a copy of that to round out my series. But I did pick up these four. I've heard a lot of good things about all of them. I know Ian Goobly has read all three of Cujo, Christine, and Pet Sematary and liked all of them, even though like some of them are like, oh, it's just about a dog, or oh, it's just about a car. Like, they're still good. And Pet Sematary I've been really wanting to read, and I think my friend and I are going to do a buddy read of this closer to the fall time. I think we're going to buddy read Pet Sematary and Fairy Tale together. So I think that will be a good time. And then I went to a little used bookstore on my vacation, and I picked up the book Lord Fowlsbane by Stephen R. Donaldson. It is apparently similar to Lord of the Rings, but a little trippier, and I got a little bored during Lord of the Rings. So I'm hoping this has a little bit of the extra oomph that I need to stay interested. I've heard the world building is really cool, and the main character is like got some sort of disease or leprosy or something that makes everybody else hate him, but eventually he's the one that has to save the world. I don't know. I've just heard it's crazy, and I'm excited to try it out because I did like the premise of Lord of the Rings. I just got bored. So I'm hoping this keeps my intrigue longer than the first few chapters. On vacation, I went to Rosenberg Library, which is the oldest continuously running library in Texas. And their little book shop in their library was really, really good, like used bookshop. I picked up The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. There were so many books that I was interested in, but I've honestly been looking at this one for quite a while, and it was only like $2. Library sales are awesome for used books, and I thought this sounded cool. I've been looking at it, and I've been wanting to read it. Next, I've got my July book of the month, and that is These Summer Storms, and I wasn't going to pick a July book of the month, but I skipped June, and I figured I kind of wanted to see if I could find a July one that sounded good. And this one was the most intriguing to me. I think it has something to do with an old estate and the family having to go and solve riddles to get the inheritance and finding out secrets about each other that none of them knew. And I think it sounds kind of like an inheritance games for adults, but I'm not really sure if that is the case or if I'm just making that up in my head. I am excited for it though, and I will be getting to it hopefully this summer, because I know if I don't get to it this summer, I'm not getting into it until next summer. Finally, it was Prime Day the last couple days, and I ordered 4 books because they were all on sale. I ordered books 4 and 5 in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. It's the Gate of the Feral Gods and the Butcher's Masquerade. I do not have book 3 yet because book 3 was still full price. These 2 were 50% off, so I picked both of them up because these books are like $30 each still. And I'm not about to pay $30 for a book. So once I finish book 2, I will reassess and see if I need to pick up book 3 immediately or if I can wait until that goes on sale. But for now, I bought books 4 and 5, and I'm very happy about it. I am so excited to see what Carl and Princess Donut get up to. Also, these books are gorgeous. They did phenomenal with the redesign of the covers. And you can't change my mind on that. I think these are amazing covers. I think the spines look gorgeous together. And I can't wait to have the full set. It's going to be a good time. And it's going to be beautiful on my shelf. And then I got The Will of the Many by James Islington. I've been wanting to read this book since it came out. I thought the storyline and the premise sounds so intriguing. I've heard so many good things about this. It's got a school setting. It has a deeper plot, like trying to solve a murder and a mystery. It just sounds amazing, and I'm very excited to read this book, and I honestly might start it right now. But I've been wanting to read it since it came out, and I'm so glad that it finally went on sale and I was able to grab it. Finally, I picked up the book Heavenly Bodies by Amani Eriu. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. I'm not 100% sure how to say it. But it has Greek mythology and gods and a forbidden love, and it's a fantasy romance, and I'm just so excited to read it. I've also seen this one since it came out and been really craving a book like this and wanting to read it. And this one is also in the running for the next book I read. I'm sure the angle has changed. I'm very sorry about that. I got a phone call I had to take, and yeah. So those are the books that I have purchased in the last few months from different sales, and I'm very excited to read all of them. Also excited for the rest of the year. This year has been a really great reading year so far. I'm already almost to my book goal for the year, which was 50, so I might have to think about upping that. I'm not sure if I'm going to go to 75 or 100 yet, but so far I've liked a lot of the books that I've read. I have been enjoying my time reading, and I'm so excited to continue and see what the rest of the year has in store. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and goodbye.